And welcome to the show, Tom White from Burger Plant. Burger Plant is a vegan burger joint here in Dunedin. Morning, Tom. How are you, mate?
Good, thank you.
Let's show people your wares, shall we? So this is your website. Beautiful looking burgers. There you go. And now that this is a really dumb question. Now that whole burger that we're looking at is
Yeah,
all vegan. There's no animal
yeah.
product in there whatsoever.
No, it's all vegan. Everything's 100% plant-based, which is what we're trying to do.
There you go. I mean, I know, stupid question, you're a vegan, but you look at, I'm
No,
sure many, if you showed that picture to someone without the context, they'll just go, oh, good looking burger. Obviously, they wouldn't
yeah,
think. I didn't think their
exactly.
first thought might be that's a vegan burger. So that was the reason for the stupid question.
Yeah,
So this morning, the little thing that came up, I was interested in it, and I messaged you about it, which is obviously, how do I word this? Vegan is a lifestyle. Vegan is a way of life and ideology, a way that people want to live and eat and treat their bodies and treat the world around them. But it's also becoming, if it's not already, a more commercial entity as well. And you can see that because you are a store in Dunedin, and you are, I guess, are you just one branch at the moment? Is that what you are?
yeah, yeah.
I asked
Just
that
just us in Dunedin.
right, because there's other kind of bespoke burger places in Dunedin that are starting to spread through the country as sort of gourmet burger places. So you're
Yeah,
one at the moment. I'm assuming the plan would be world domination from you guys. It would be the way to
yeah.
go.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah,
But when we look at, and I'll bring up the story here, the kind of commercial um, groups like BK getting into it, and this is in
yeah,
London. They've just started up their first 100% meat-free and plant-based store. So everything in the store is meat-free and plant-based. So it's a vegan Burger King, for want of a
yeah,
better word. You go, well, if they're doing it, when I've done a bit of research, it seems that between 2 and 3% of people in the UK are vegan. It looks like less than 1% of people in the US are vegan, but they obviously think there's enough of a market to do it. I'm interested as to why and what's going to happen. So from your perspective, how do you? I mean, like, not to get into your obviously financials, but you guys being a burger, a vegan burger, a burger. There you go. I just invented a new word, a burger joint, a vegan burger joint in Dunedin. Are you run off your feet? Is it like you can't keep up with demand? Is the demand for your product like flying out the doors?
yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like, I think we only started Burger Plant just before the first lockdown, so it's been a difficult kind of way to judge how the market's going to go.
Sure.
Dunedin's an interesting market as well. You've got students that don't really have a high level of income, so you got to price your burgers around an area that they can afford.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I think at the very start, 100%, we were it was mental. It was crazy. It was me and three other staff members, and then after that, it was yeah, we got slammed with orders for probably the first 3 weeks. Like, I was every morning I had to get here like 5 a.m. to prep, and I wouldn't be leaving till like midnight. And I
right.
hired another like 8 staff in that week. And for the first year, yeah, 100%. But I think with veganism, you have a lot of people that want to try it. It's
Yeah,
very hard to get people to completely like to make it us their main choice. Like, lots of people would come in and try it, and then they've gone, oh, well, I've done it, and that's all I'm going to do. Which is, and obviously in New Zealand, we're kind of still quite far behind on the vegan kind of ride. Like, I think yeah, the UK, the US are definitely a lot more dominating, especially with New Zealand being very agricultural focused. And yeah, like, I grew up on a farm. I'm supposed to be third generation farmer, but I opened a vegan business instead. Um, but yeah, I think it's just, especially in Dunedin, we're still quite southern, and it takes a little bit of change to make things happening. And I think around town now as well. When I first started, there was like hardly any vegan options in cafes and restaurants. And now,
right.
if you're a cafe and restaurant and you don't have a vegan option, you're kind of missing out. But yeah, and I think it's a hard diet to kind of stick to. And I think people definitely are more leaning towards cutting down on meat consumption. And that's something that we've always been about, more so than becoming fully vegan, is definitely to promote the kind of that we don't need to have meat, 2 meals a day. We can have 1 or 2 days without any meat, and that's all good. That's the whole gist of our kind of, I like the way that we kind of run things here.
That kind of promotes. I'm not vegan. I have no interest in being vegan, but I do have an interest in ethically, produced food in general. So I know that
Yeah,
in veganism and the ideology, some of it's because of taste, some because of what people want to put in their body, some of it is around the ethical treatment of animals. There's numerous reasons why people may go down that vegetarian or vegan path. But my biggest sort of confusion, like you've just said, meat-free days, right? Just let's stick with
yeah,
that around veganism in general, is why vegans and vegan restaurants spend so much fucking time trying to make vegetables taste like meat. Like if I'm having
yeah,
a meat, like I love vegetables. Like I have a huge plate of vegetables. I don't need my vegetables to taste like meat. And if I'm having meat-free days, why would I then go to a product which was a vegetable that tasted like meat? You know what I mean? Like I'm on a
yeah,
health kick at the moment. I'm losing weight and stuff. And I know that
yeah,
there's some things that I want to eat. Like a vegan might want to have the taste of meat, but I don't because it's better for me. Like I want to eat a
yeah,
shit ton of sugar. I want to eat a huge amount of carbs, but I'm not. I'm not trying to have
yeah,
vegetables turn into something that tastes like sugar or carbs. And I know it's kind
yeah,
of none of my business really, and it doesn't actually matter. But that's always been my confusing thing. It's like if you're vegetarian or you're vegan, there's this raft of flavors amongst vegetables being vegetables and legumes being legumes and rice being rice and whatever else it is. And it
yeah,
seems that the thing that people want is like fake bacon. And it's like I don't quite.
yeah.
I mean, I understand it from a
Under,
point of you want the taste of it, but I don't understand it from the side of things, like we're just saying, a meat-free day. So let's have a burger that tastes like meat, but it's meat-free. Do you know what I mean? You
yeah.
must do this all the time. So what would you like to add to that?
Well, like for us personally, like the goal for us isn't like, so the way that we structure and how we design our burgers isn't so much for them to taste like meat. At the end of the day, they're never going to be meat. So why should I try and put so
Yeah,
much time and energy into that? What we try and do is like, obviously the names are there just because if I, for instance, cook, for instance, our cheeseburger, if I called it a Texas soy protein patty, cheese, like, it's just, it kind of sounds a bit like not as appealing, and for people to try and feel comfortable and feel familiar with things, it's really important to make sure you're going on that. But
yeah,
for
yeah,
us it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, like I'm not, like our food, we, the thing is for us is trying to not have too much like flavors, and we don't add any like flavors or preservatives or anything. Everything's made fresh here. Like we use the mix, like we don't freeze it, like it's used in the time period that it's there. We don't buy in any meat products. We make all our sauces here. But I think, for instance, the meat stuff is kind of, it's a weird thing because it's not so much for vegans particularly. Like I feel like there's a lot of vegans out there that generally don't like the meat alternatives, and lots of people have gone vegan because they don't like the taste of meat.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's just more to bridge that gap between eating meat and then, because like I think if you think about it, if you don't really know how to cook or how to make something and you go, oh, I do meat and 3 veg, and I take out the meat, I'm left with 3 veg, like I've got nothing there. If you're not very creative in the way that you're going to create something, and of course having a substitute that's already similar to what you would cook meat wise, it's going to be easier.
yeah,
But yeah, necessarily I don't think it's a good thing. Like I think for us, we're going more a whole foods kind of market now, and I think going into the vegetarian side of things, we're going back into severely processed foods that we used to have. Like you go and like it's just as bad process wise as what, like salami or ham or anything that's really processed is going to be. So yeah, that's my kind of view on it. But yeah, it definitely is an interesting one. There's a lot of reasons that people want things to taste like meat or not to taste like meat. So that's why we structure our burgers to be kind of a bit of everything.
yeah,
They've got burgers that are completely like chickpea based and everything, and then burgers that are kind of our, our meat kind of burgers to
yeah,
try
yeah.
and have as much option for people.
I assume that obviously you've got a business and you want your business to be successful and you want it to be financially good and you want to take over the world. But obviously my assumption is, and you can quickly say no if I'm wrong, but there's an ideology there as well that you want to, as you've said already, have meat-free days and give an alternative to people as well. That means I imagine you would love to see, veganism or vegetarianism or non-meat products, grow and more people participate in them. So when you see a thing like Burger Fuel, it's Burger Fuel, sorry, Burger King, doing an all vegan restaurant. Are you excited by that because of the idea that you want veganism to be bigger? Or are you concerned by that because, like, the old story about the warehouse moves into a small town and all the small shops shut down because now everyone just goes to the big multinational? Or is there a bit of both?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen in New Zealand, to be honest. I
Right,
think we're still very behind the ball. I think purely Burger King, whatever fast food places do it purely for the trend side of things.
right.
Um, I don't think they really care about, like, for us, it's like we are more. It's hard because, like, even in vegan food, like, food miles a massive thing, and for me it's like the reason that I did this was for sustainability, but any protein source that I get is from a different country because New
Yeah,
Zealand's not set up in a way to to make, we don't grow soy, we don't process soy, we don't, which is like the main product that people use in vegan cooking. So I mean, for me it's kind of sucky because it's like, well, I want to, support local and support our farmers and stuff and have a more diversity in farms, but we don't have the facilities to do that. And I think for BK, and, like, I think if they do come to New Zealand with a meat free thing, it's kind of hard. Like, I think in the UK it's definitely a lot bigger. But
yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like definitely more jumping on the trend of things rather than the actual issue.
I think you're completely right, and I think that's why I said at the start. Obviously, if some companies see a commercial return, they'll do it for that reason. Hey, you are
100%.
burgerplantnz.com is the website. You're in the one-way systems on the left-hand side. If you're heading north, I know exactly where you are because we're one of those people who, when you started up, we thought we'll give you. I mean, because I'm not against eating non-meat products in general, but we're one of those people who probably flooded you at the start and tried you out and that sort of thing. So I know exactly where you are. If people want to find out more about you, burgerplantnz.com is the website. And Tom, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for helping us understand a bit more about, why people do what they do when it comes. And another day, we'll actually get into the pros and cons of being veganism, but that's not the conversation for today. So thank you for the conversation for
Okay.
today, and we'll talk another time.
No. Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much.